Happy Capricorn New Moon, everybody. Second one of 2024. Last new moon of 2024. Let's fucking go. So this new moon is a black moon. So you might have heard of blue moons with full moons, where a blue moon is when there's two full moons in the calendar month, where a black moon is when there's two new moons in a calendar month. So that's why there's two Capricorn new moons this year. We had our first one earlier in the year, January 11th, 2024, 111. What the fuck were you up to? I was not even regularly posting on Substack yet. I didn't even have any podcast episodes of this yet. So it truly feels like an entire lifetime ago. So we'll talk more about that. I'll pull that up. I just jumped straight to it because I'm so excited. Welcome back, or welcome to Star Quality, a podcast and newsletter by me, your host and astrologer, Stevie Goldstein. I am going to get into all the energy of this Capricorn new moon that we're experiencing on December 30th, 2024. I also have two rituals I wanted to share with you guys that you could do for this new moon, because this new moon, I keep calling it like the new moon of second chances. The fact that we get a second chance with the Capricorn energy to close out the year, that this new moon is not with Pluto and Capricorn, right? We're in this new era, as we know, with Pluto and Aquarius. This is really big. If you actually had a second shot at something, how would you do it differently? Would you give it your all if you knew that you had another go to make it happen? So yeah, that's going to come up in a bit. We're going to talk a lot about Saturn, especially because Capricorn is a Saturnian sign. There is big aspect energy happening with Saturn, and we are going to work with Saturn directly for this new moon ritual, because we fucking have to, because we need to listen to Daddy, and Daddy is Saturn, and we are... Yeah, this is going to be an episode a lot about discipline, truth be told. So before we really get into it, I would love for you to, if you're not already, to subscribe to Star Quality, this Substack here. And also, if you would like, because one of the rituals is going to be before the paywall, the other one will not. So if you would like to support this publication, it is a user-supported publication. For $7.77 a month, you can get all the paywall content, all of the full weekly horoscopes, all the bonus stuff, and also you end up supporting this whole thing. Basically, for the cost of me getting a coffee and tipping $1, you know, you support independent astrological research right to your door. I mean, I love making this. I was just posting on the notes section of Substack about all the terrific growth that I'm really thankful for. And I think sometimes this is what can be really good about Capricorn season, and looking at like the real tangible things of Capricorn, right? Like dates on the calendar, money in the bank account. And at first, you know, I started the Substack years ago, but I really didn't commit to amplifying it until April of this year. And once I did, which I posted on there, like all the steps that I took to take it more seriously, in air quotes. But yeah, I raised my subscribership 81%. Bitch. Like, okay, damn. Like, I'm really thankful, and like, it's just more motivation to keep doing that. And not everything is about quantity. I'm very pro quality, but to know that this reaches so many people, and that it's helped so many people, and that we're having like fun together here with so many people. Just thank you for listening, and thank you for being here. And I hope you please sound off in the comments. Please interact. You know, I know this microphone is technically a one-way communication device in this format, but I do, and maybe it's my 11th housiness, like I do feel in conversation with you who's listening. So please don't be shy in replying. You know, of course, you know, don't be cruel, but you know, I'm down to debate and discuss and reflect. And I will say this till I'm blue in the face, that astrology is a social science, and we're here to really learn from each other and our lived experiences of astrology. Like and I'll have a Mars retrograde reflection episode. I mean, there's plenty of material on this Mars retrograde that I wrote about, but I want to do a reflection episode because it's really just like the patterns of astrology. Like I'm signing up for the same fitness boot camp, and this really goes with the Saturn discipline thing that I did last Mars retrograde in 2022. And I'm just like, that wasn't planned. Like that was not part of the plan. But it just lined up. And I think about that stuff. And I'm in my Jupiter return right now. And there's so many similar things that are happening that happened last time I had Jupiter in Gemini when I was like 23 or 4 years old. So anywho, yes, share your tales, share your revelations. Maybe we can use the chat section more in 2025. Let's see. But let's get into this Capricorn new moon, and I'll put an image of the chart in the post on Substack, so go check that out there. But of course, you can also listen to this on your podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, etc. Please write me a review if you are over there. Oh, and one more thing. Book a reading with me. If you like what you hear, if you would like a whole almost, I guess it wouldn't be a podcast episode because we would be live talking one-on-one over Zoom. But if you would like a whole rundown of your chart with me, I offer readings. So also that's all in the links in the show notes. So come through. Would love to see you. And I now have gift cards. So if you want to gift that to a friend, you can also do that. Okay, so this Capricorn new moon, and a new moon is always when the sun and moon are in the same sign at the exact degree and minute and all that jazz. Boom. It is exact at 2:27 p.m. Pacific time on December 30th, 2024. Adjust for your time zone. The image of the chart I'm posting is based on where I'm at, so the rising sign will change, but the planets and their positions and the aspects they're making to each other will not. And speaking of the aspects, so the sun and moon are in a conjunction, right? Like that's what it is when they're perfectly together. But aside from this conjunction of the sun and moon, which is the new moon, and it's this black moon, and it's the second chance of a Capricorn new moon, it's not getting any other aspects from any other planets. So in astrology, when a planet, see, this is like technically not an unaspected, but it kind of functions as one because the sun and moon are coming together as one in this moment. And when a planet is unaspected, that means there's no other influence from any of the other planets. So the sun and moon are just floating in space, just them two. Lovers dance, soul meets body, two become one. And so I think this just really also goes with the second chances theme of, like cut through the noise, cut through the bullshit. No one else is in the chat. No friend advice, no this, no that. Like it's getting out of, any of that influence and really just going into that ego and sub-ego, subconscious alignment, sun and moon style to, especially since it's lined up with the New Year's Eve basically is, who the fuck am I? What am I building towards? What am I working towards? I mean, these are Capricorn questions, right? Like we need to know, it makes me think of like the meme of like Tiger King. It's like, I cannot financially afford, what is it? I'm never going to financially recover from this. Like if that's how you felt about this past year, then you have to actually do cardinal earth changes, not just waiting. There's no waiting for the invitation here. And I'm a big wait for the invite person. Like I think I'm a projector in human design. I think there's a lot of merit in that. But for this, no. Mars and Pluto have been in this long fucking opposition. And I'm sorry, I do think like even tough transits have stuff to teach us and can be really illuminating and sometimes positive, whatever. But has this not been like the crunchiest, most uncomfortable like moment with this fucking Mars Pluto opposition? Like there's just something that feels like the power, it's like, of course it's a power struggle, but it's also like the power's out of your hands and it feels like nothing you do is going to give it back. And I think that's where I come back to the Capricorn new moon, which is all you can do is like not just give up and get overwhelmed and go, well, fuck, yeah, I guess, like, what's the point? Like, it's all, it's overwhelming. It's too much. There's so much to do. And it's like, yeah, there's a lot to do. Like, besides the sun and moon floating in space doing their own thing, there's a lot of tense there's a lot of tense energy in this chart. And I think that tension, it's not like, it's like a pimple pop. Like, it's just like, I can't go on in this format. And I think what I've realized after the end of this year, like, we've been deep in Saturn and Pisces time. This is a Saturnian new moon because Capricorn is a sign of Saturn. It's our second Capricorn new moon. Clearly there's something we didn't have or didn't know about, or it didn't register in January, back when we had the original Capricorn new moon. Mind you, that new moon, which, dang, I'm bummed I didn't start making episodes yet because I could have gone back and referenced it. Whatever. C'est la vie. Now I have, from here on out. But that new moon had Pluto there with it. And then instead of it being unaspected, of course, it has another conjunction there with the sun and moon, but also then it was getting squared by the nodes, societal pressure to be like, bro, who cares? And then a trine from Uranus, like, mix it up. And so, of course, we keep having so much hanging on to the past in this year, but like, and my full 2025 year ahead episode will be out sometime the first week of January, as well as my in and out list, because y'all love those and you love mine, and I have another one for you. So both of those will be out. They'll be separate things, but I keep calling 2025 a taste of the future. Like, if it had a log line and you could only describe it in one way, it is a taste of the future. It's a taste test of the future, because we have so many outer planets ingressing forward and then retrograding back. And so we are still in what feels like it's like the cusp, when we think of cusp, it's like the cusp of the past to the present to the future is feeling really clouded, and it's annoying and it's irritating, and it feels like I just want progress. I just want the future. I feel like I say this all the time, and now I'm realizing it equates quite literally to this, talking about like housing, for example. I've been saying, like, what's the end goal? Is it that we all pay $10,000 for rent? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and it comes back to capitalism. It's like, this has a ceiling, right? And this has a place where, what do? Just all become like destitute peasants? Like, again, I think that is what they want. But as we know, when it gets to that point, that's when things get fucking crazy. A la Hello Luigi. Shout out. Friend of the pod. Also, this is me being like, just kidding, feds. But in this house, that was the other part. I saw like a tweet that was like, oh, concerning that the, people of the world are sharing extremist views. And this quote retweet was like, well, it's not extremist if it's the majority view, right? Like, is that extreme if most people feel this way? And I think, God, apply that to so many things in politics of late. But anyways, so yes, so last Capricorn new moon in January 11th, 2024 was still kind of stuck in the past, but hinting at the future and like begging for change, adjustments, revelations. And now this Capricorn new moon, I really want to take a look at Saturn, because Saturn, okay, for comparison, in the January 11th 2024 Cap new moon chart, Saturn was making a really lovely sextile to Mars and Jupiter. It was pretty happy. Everything was like, okay, things are going, who knows how, but it's working. And now Saturn is in this big fucking T square from Jupiter in Gemini and Mercury in Sagittarius. And it's coming to a point to Saturn. Y'all, I have realized like Saturn in Pisces has been also like not my fave from what I've discovered. I think, wow, you really don't know what you got till it's gone, right? And I think Saturn and Saturnian signs, Capricorn, Aquarius, well, again, sounds really dry and rigid or whatever, like, do not underestimate home turf placements, right? Saturn Pisces is just like, I don't like it there. And it doesn't even like technically not like it there. That's going to be when it moves into Aries. So we're just like signing up for more Saturnian discomfort. But that discomfort is a reminder that we cannot forget rules, limitations, boundaries, Saturnian stuff. And this Saturn and Pisces, especially like lately, like all of a sudden I've like these past week or so, I've like almost like cue that so Raven eyes, like being like, oh my God, I've just been too easy on myself. And not in a way of like negative self-talk or being hard on yourself in a mental way. Like, no, like I never deny myself anything. I think a lot of my methods of self-care have been avoidance and distraction. And I think I'm ready, back to when I mentioned the boot camp. I'm like, okay, I think I actually need a physical, disciplined, bodily thing to get me out of my brain and my feelings. Because this year was one of my hardest years in general. And I can't believe I blogged and broadcasted and did all this stuff in there. So thanks. Shout out for y'all being there during my depression. And, and it's still semi-lingering. What can you do? Life will go on. And if you are struggling with your mental health or depression or anything like that, I mean, I used to be on medication for it, blah, 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 years ago. I don't mean blah, 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 and like, who cares? I just mean like, you get it. Please reach out or seek treatment, or, there's help. So just have to shout that out to anyone going through a hard time or going through it. But for me, in all of this, being really soft and easy and avoidant and distracted space, I look at this square. I look at this opposition from Mercury and Jupiter. Like, stop over fucking promising, stop over fucking thinking, and make a plan, make a practice. Just get disciplined. Like, there's no, like, stop. Like, maybe you should deny yourself something. Like, I know that's the meme, like me who's never denied myself anything. Like, maybe you should. Maybe I should. I'm expressing this lesson through myself because I think it will probably radiate out. And again, I want everyone to work with this new moon because it being a black moon, it being the second chance, it's so potent. Like, if you don't manifest with this thing, like, come on. Like, it's also the new year. Like, it's good timing. Like, even if you're like, I don't know about that, it's like, just think of it as a new year thing. If like you need to, again, where are you checking yourself out, and where are you avoiding the hard work? And so I was like, okay, what's up with this Saturn, like at 14 degrees of Pisces? So I looked at the Sabian symbols. If you don't know, the Sabian symbols are all these different divine images for each degree of the zodiac. And so I was like, hang on, I have to look at the Saturn at 14 degrees of Pisces, because like, what's up with 14 degrees of Pisces? Okay, when I literally flipped my lid because this is what it was called. So, and there's an image for each degree of the zodiac. So feel free to look at yours. It's like, it's a fun, different way to look at, the symbols. For example, before I get into this 14 degrees of Pisces, this Capricorn New Moon's happening at 9 degrees of Capricorn. Did I say that? If I not, here it is now. It's happening at 9 degrees of Capricorn, and that symbol is an albatross feeding from the hand. I don't have it on me, but the January 2024 Capricorn New Moon was at 20 degrees of Capricorn. So anyway, degrees. But anywho, this Pisces 14 degrees is an officer preparing to drill his men. Excuse me. And this is from James Burgess's website. I'll read a little bit of this. And it says, before being able to close any cycle in life fully, there must be an evaluation of what has occurred, a balancing of accounts, and the facing of karma. When this is externalized into life events, we must expect to encounter some significant danger, a danger that has so far been perpetually and forever avoided. By anticipating this, we can make careful arrangements, planning, and equipping ourselves as best as we can for the certainty of immense challenge. It is better to take instruction and focus very clearly before we encounter our nemesis. And some of the logline keywords here were discipline, preparation to develop group consciousness, neither recklessness nor fearfulness, nor even overcautious modesty is appropriate when power is at play. I mean, another great line from this is, everyday life becomes superficial with its dismissal of all responsibility of consequence. So taking on the duties and giving them as much significance as possible. And like, yes, like this is what I've been feeling just in the energy buildup. It's Capricorn season. The Saturn is really loud. It's Capricorn, like there's some, and we're finishing up the Pluto and Capricorn lessons. Like we are wrapping it up. And before we go, and before we head into 2025, shout out last podcast episode of 2025, where do we actually need to step it up next year and take ownership and not just dissolve in a Piscean way, because it is Saturn after all. So it's pretty cool that this image was associated with Pisces at 14, because Pisces is not even like wrapped up in this kind of imagery usually, but it also goes with the Saturn of it all. Super, super hardcore. I think too, in this sort of like preparation, like this is going to be after, the new year and this new moon, but I kind of mentioned it with the Mars Pluto opposition is just days into the new year too. So like, this is the first new moon energy we're taking into the new year, or like the last one we experienced, that is. And on January 6th, Mars moves back out of Leo into Cancer. And so, we've been talking a lot about the sun and moon because of the new moon, but also Leo and Cancer representing the sun and moon also, because those are their home signs. And we are, taking that Leo Mars retrograde lesson, getting out of that ego, and again, back into the subconscious, going back to the mental behind the scenes work. And I think a big lesson in this new moon, and as we kick off January, is going to be how much more behind the scenes, internal, mental, emotional work do we have to do before we go hit the stage again, Leo style. And I think that discipline of self is going to be unveil the answer. Like we might have been slacking on, how we're taking care of ourselves, how we are standing up for ourselves, how we are prioritizing the things that we want in our life. And there's just no time. I mean, back to Capricorn themes related to time, like no thoughts and prayers. You know what I mean? What's the opposite of thoughts and prayers? We need action and accountability. Oh, damn. I mean, yeah, literally the opposite of thoughts and prayers. I want action and accountability, and I want it now and delivered. And that goes to say, and for myself, like I want the actions and accountability. I want to walk the walk, talk the talk, do what I say what I do, all of that. And I'm like, look, I do a pretty good job, but I think there are some things I'd love to like tighten up in terms of like wasting energy on petty shit, or like, I love a gossip, but there's like healthy doses. I love TikTok, but there's also healthy amounts of scrolling. There's things that I feel like I can redirect my soul back into. And again, the Mars, I'll relink to the article that I wrote about Mars retrograde. It's protecting the light, right? Protecting your inner glow, protecting your zest for life, not just giving up and quitting because the world sucks outside. The world has felt designed to break our spirits. Like it feels like nothing can be done. And that's by design. This is what, and I'm using the colloquial they, like Jack Black and School of Rock, I'm talking about the man. The man wants that. And so the most rebellious, beautiful thing you can do is still prioritize your life, your goals, the things you want, and updating those goals to the circumstances of the universe. And by universe, I mean the shit happening outside your door. I want to do just a quick fellow aspect recap before I get into the ritual mode, because let's just get to business, Capricorn style. I mean, we got Venus squaring Uranus. Hello. Like, mix it up. That's also a mutual reception as well. Mutual reception is when the sign is in the other sign's home turf, but they're in the same home turf at the same time, so they almost get each other superpowers. And Venus is in Aquarius. Taurus is in Uranus. Taurus likes to be in Venus. It's not. It's in Uranus. Aquarius likes to be in Uranus. It's not. It's in Taurus. And so this is like, it's fixed energy. Is this working? Is it not? It's not that complicated. I like what I like. I hate what I hate. That's a very fixed sign. It's almost like in a beautiful way, not even nuanced. It's just gut feeling. Whether that's about your money, your goals, your relationship, it's just like, do you function? Is there ease? Is there joy? Is it just like, is it also feel like inventive, restorative, like these Aquarian, Venusian, Taurian, Uranian sort of things, right? Like excitement over dread. We only got a couple trines going in this chart, and one being our Mars retrograde is trining the North Node and Neptune. And I think too, maybe that's a cut through the fog. Maybe that's, again, a realignment with your purpose and goals. Again, there's still that opposition to Pluto. But the sextile to Libra South Node is like, fuck these haters and fuck like having to perform for others. This trine to the North Node is, again, that destiny alignment mixed with Neptune, which is also just like, again, getting into dream life, right? Like, again, just because we made the steps and got this far and we're here now, like this is what retrogrades are for, especially Mars retrograde. It is a passion check-in. Are you still into this thing? I just saw like a video today that was like, hi, I'm 50 and I just changed my careers because I hated my shit and I just got bored. I was like, totally. I know. I think also for people Gen X and younger, we're just like used to more changes, even if that's not what we want. But again, this is more connected to the passions and that you're moving towards love, fun, excitement, fire sign things, and not putting out your flame. The only other trine is also with Mercury. So we mentioned, Mercury's doing the opposition to Jupiter and then the square to Saturn, but it's making a trine to Chiron. And so I think too, it's very brave to be honest and to say, to give the praise to what you love and what's felt good in your soul, back to the you with the Aries Chiron, but then also to let people know where you want release and where you want to expand in that Sagittarius way, where you've been feeling self-limited and like you don't know how to get to your dreams because Sag Mercury, even though it's not happy in that spot, what's cool is it can dream so big, even though those dreams might feel like impossible. But the Chiron is like someone's been in that position before and knows what you're saying. Like you're not so out there feeling these things. Pluto, besides that opposition, is making a sextile and to the North Node in Aries and a trine to the South Node in Libra. So it's on, like Pluto approved. Like we are moving in a new direction. And I think like another good reminder is not everyone's gonna understand. Not everyone needs to come along. Some people who might come along might surprise you. And again, maybe it won't be some big drastic changes in the new year, but next year is different. Next year is going to be really different. Like change or be changed, whether we like it or not, things are updating. And, I know a lot of people in various job fields who thought they were really secure aren't. And I know a lot of people who thought, the dream was buying a house and then their home broke and the interest rates aren't going down and they were planning for things to get better and they don't get better. So again, it doesn't mean we have to have our heart rate feel like we're being hunted for sport and be in like survival mode, but like couldn't hurt to have the plan for what if things go this way? What version of you shows up for that? What do you need the most right now? Put it all in that. Put it all in there. Put it all in that basket. I mean, of course, you're going to marinate other little baskets, like duh. But second chance, new moon, black moon. Okay, speaking of, let's do our first ritual, and then the second one I will have up in a bit. So I just wanted to do something really simplistic that honored Saturn, and there's a little bit of like feeling throwback to like elementary school, but I really want to work with Saturn for this new moon because it's, as I mentioned, super Saturnian, and I think the big theme besides the second chances is where do we need to commit and be disciplined. And Saturn, there's many schools of thoughts on this, but I do think if you work with Saturn the way Saturn wants you to, there can be the reward for the hard work and the hard lessons. That's why, Saturn returns can be amazing. I feel like the years leading up are usually like harder. It's like, it's coming. It's like the chaos is building, but then you're in it and you're like, oh my God, I actually can handle what if everything worked out. So I'm going to put an image of this in the show notes, but what you're going to do is, and you can style it however you want. Maybe I'll put a blank one if you want to just print mine out and do it. And I'll show you an example of mine. I didn't make it aesthetic because I didn't know I'd be showing this, so I decided to. And that's a Taurus concern to be like, it's not as cute as it could be, but it does the trick. But I made an acrostic poem, if you will, an acrostic image, just with the word Saturn, Saturn. And then this is a real soul gut check exercise. You don't need to sit here and have the perfect answers and think too long about it. But for each letter, write your gut instinct word of what you want Saturn to help you out with this new moon and for the energy of the new year. So all of these, I wrote instantaneously, basically, and I'll just go through mine so you can get an idea. And who knows, maybe some of yours will be the same, but if you don't want to hear mine and you don't want to get influenced first, then skip ahead or pause right now. But otherwise, these are the ones that I wrote for my Saturn acrostic spell. Okay, so the S for Saturn, I wrote save money. Very Saturnian, very straightforward. I thought I was going to have something cooler, but my instinct was save money. Save money. Intentionality has been a big keyword that keeps coming up for me. For the A in Saturn, I wrote artistic practice. Having studio time, open time, brain time, creative time versus oh fuck, it's time to make a post. Oh fuck, it's the new moon today, so I'm up right before I have to do it. I don't know, all the procrastinators, make some noise out there, you feel me. So having that artistic practice, I think, allows those first drafts to build. And I'm a big believer in you gotta start something and then return to it later and get some space away from it. But it's hard to do that when you go straight into creation to display mode. So having more time to craft and tool around and dick around and that, I think, is what I really would love Saturn, the discipline for the artistic practice. The T in Saturn, travel. I mean, duh. But also I did put a parentheses, and again, there's no rules. I'm not a cop. And travel, parentheses, fun and paid. I would like to do, of course, more travel and seeing the world. I mean, the North Node is going to move into Pisces in January. That I'm in my nodal return. It's in my 9th house. I want to get out of my neighborhood, but I want to go to places I haven't seen that inspire me, but also I want to get paid for some. You know what I mean? I would love to go lead a retreat, go do a little workshop in Austin or wherever. So if you have events or things in your town or your event or your whatever that need an astrologer, hello, I've done events, hit me up. Okay. The U for my Saturn acrostic spell is unbothered. Kind of goes back to me not giving a shit in 2025 about petty distraction drama, the discipline to not be bothered because it's a choice. And I do think I'm a relatively unbothered person, but I'm ready to ascend even further on that unbothered journey. Okay, what I wrote here for R, my last word was hard to read. I wrote return of investments. I love that. I want to return to my investments. I also want to make the investments, not just, back to the kind of artistic practice, not just slapping things together, actually getting the tools I need, having my chords labeled, I don't know, having that return of investment because I'll use them more because I know where they are and what they're called. So yeah, just the return of my investments, that the things that I put out, I get back tenfold. And then this last letter, I was kind of surprised I went with this word, but it was just what first came to me, which was natural. And then I put little brackets underneath it. Again, there's no rules. You can do whatever. But I wrote in little brackets underneath it, natural luck, natural moves, natural ease. I think this year has felt like a little bit of waiting for something to happen and also feeling like I have to make things happen. And I just... back to being a projector in human design, I just love when things unfold. I meet the right person, and then we hit it off because we both love this thing, and then they're like, oh, actually be this astrologer for this thing. I love when the natural connections and movement and luck and ease just flow to me. And so I would love that all those discipline things allow more natural connections and opportunities that might not have been there before. So make your own Saturnian acrostic. I keep calling it a poem. I guess it's not really a poem, but spell. Acrostic spell. And yeah, praise Saturn. I don't often say that. I'm a praise Venus girl, but that Saturn is trying my Venus in my natal chart, and I'm an at-home Saturn Capricorn person. So I don't know. I just had like a real felt like a light bulb went up above my head today, being like, oh, it's all Saturn. It's Saturn and Pisces saying, please, I'm sorry, I've abandoned myself. Like, help me out. So yeah, I'm winding down. Let me share the other ritual I'd like to offer you to do on this Capricorn new moon. Hey y'all, it's the paywall. So thanks for listening to the first chunk. If you want to hear the second ritual, please support this publication. Maybe you just really enjoyed that and you're like, actually I'm done, but I'd love to support because that was banging. Please do. You can upgrade your subscription. There's also a 7-day free trial, so you could hack the system and listen to the rest of this episode. But I hope you stick around and come hang out and invest in this thing. So I appreciate you so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the year in 2025, and I will see you next year, mother trucker. Okay, love you. Bye.